Hey, carnivore hunters, it's Doug. So, welcome to day 6 and 7 of my continuous glucose monitor experiment with the carnivore diet. As promised, day 6, I went way off the rails, ate a whole bunch of things that we're not supposed to eat on the carnivore diet, and the consequences of that followed me through into day 7. So, that's why I'm crushing these 2 days in one quick video here. So, let me get that pulled up for you. Okay, as you can see here, my day started out perfectly normal for me, somewhere between 95 and 105, fairly flat line here. My morning coffee, for those of you who have been watching the other days that I've done this, normally, I do put butter in my coffee most of the time. But if I know I'm going to have a day where there's going to be some carbohydrates involved in a meal later that day, I take my coffee black that day. There's no reason to get the extra fat or the extra calories if we're going to be taking in uh, those additional carbohydrates there. So definitely black coffee in the morning. And then my second tip is, if again you're going to have a high carbohydrate meal later in the day, just kind of at one off for whatever reason, my breakfast is a little bit larger than what it typically would be. So what I do in this case, I did 11 hot wings, 4 slices of bacon, and a protein shake. So that was a good, I don't know, I think 120 grams of protein right at my breakfast there. I want to get my protein up early. That way, one, I'm going to be more satiated. And when those carbs do come in, I'm not just gorging on them, because we all know how easy that is to do. If your body has already got an adequate amount of protein, it's a lot easier to say no to that second serving sort of thing. So then as my day went on here, of course, I did get a little bit of a spike after lunch or after my breakfast there. That's probably from the 4 carbs in the protein shake. But that came, of course, right back down. No biggie, still within range. Then met up with my daughter and our son-in-law, and I actually had an afternoon glass of scotch. I was really curious as to what that would do. They say it's better for you, and or at least better for your blood sugar. Not that any alcohol is ever good for you, but I did have a glass of scotch, and really nothing happened with my blood glucose with that. So at least for me, at least for this particular day, I can confirm, if you're going to go with alcohol, probably a hard alcohol is the way to go. Then closer to 5 p.m., this is when the dinner came in. And again, this is a celebration dinner for my wife and my daughter. They did choose an Italian restaurant, or my daughter rather chose an Italian restaurant. I had a chicken parmesan, which came with a side of spaghetti and a side of broccolini. I had it all, and I did have some wine with dinner as well. And as you can see, got up a little spike here, came up to about 130 at one point right after dinner. And there was actually, I will say that there was a dessert in there as well. We did share a tiramisu at the end, so that's probably the reason for this 130 spike right there. But fortunately, that spiked at 626. By 651, I was back down to 95. It's all good. But I noticed the rest of my night there was these rapid fluctuations. My blood sugar would spike, and then it would come back down, then it would spike back up and come back down. Not plus, when my wife and I got home, we finished the bottle of wine that we had bought for dinner. So my blood sugar spiked the most it's ever spiked since I started this, up to 151. And I have to tell you, not that 151, it's not bad, and it came right back down again. If any of you out there have tracked your blood glucose before, specifically like diabetics, like my son-in-law is diabetic, and he was looking at my numbers and he's like, this all looks perfect to me. Like even these spikes do not look bad. He's like, your body works. So obviously what we're doing here, we're just looking for optimal health. Like, this is not something that's going to be a danger to my life right now, but looking for optimal health, we definitely want to keep below that 140 line. But anyway, so I did get a spike, and the rest of the night, basically, my blood sugar did that. It would go down, it would spike up even after we went to bed. all through my sleep, I had these jagged spikes, each one being less than the previous. And actually, let me go ahead and switch that day here for you so you can see what that looks like. Okay. So these first couple hours of the night, 104 down to 94, back up to 121, down to 103, back to 118. And just as the evening and morning wore on, things started to even out a little bit more until finally I had my morning coffee at about 9:45. This time I did put the butter back in the coffee because I was going to be strict carnivore for today. Then my lunchtime meal, I had 4 slices of bacon, protein shake, and some leftover carne asada from the other night. And everything just, again, stayed pretty steady here. And then my dinner last night, I had a late dinner, smoked a brisket all day, and just I felt so much better at the end of yesterday compared to the end of day 6 there. So, section where we have these jumps and the spikes and the dips, that was probably my entire life prior to the carnivore diet, which that I can say I'm sure was unhealthy. And I'm sure had I measured back then, it would have shown I probably would have been going above the acceptable range even more often. And it was probably taking me even longer to come back down. All of these results are again after me being on the carnivore diet for almost 2 years and then kind of stepping out. So, if you guys have any questions about how this affected me, go ahead and put them in the comments. Otherwise, we will see you next time. And thanks for tuning in.